forgiveness. We hear that word thrown around all the time, right? But what does it actually truly mean? Today, we're going to cut through all the cliches and really get into what forgiveness is, why it's so incredibly hard, and what it actually takes to get there, all based on the work of two licensed therapists. So let's dive in.
I mean, how many times have you heard this? Oh, just forgive and forget. It's like the default advice anytime someone gets hurt. But if you've ever been in that spot, you know it's just not that simple, is it?
And it turns out there's a really good reason it's not that simple. Our therapists say that telling someone to forgive and forget completely misses the point. In fact, and get this, it might just be the absolute worst advice you can give someone. Okay, so if forgiveness isn't about forgetting, then what in the world is it? Let's get a really clear definition, because honestly, everything else we're about to talk about builds right on top of this foundation. So here's the deal. Forgiveness is not some magical feeling that just washes over you one day. Nope. The therapists define it as an intentional process. It's you actively deciding to let go of the hurt and the resentment you've been carrying around. And I really want to hammer this home. That word, intentional, is everything. As Dr. Hart puts it, forgiveness isn't something that just happens to you. It's a conscious choice you have to make. It's a commitment to yourself to start healing. And this really gets to the heart of it, doesn't it? Forgiving is active. It's you rolling up your sleeves and actually dealing with the hurt so you can heal and set boundaries. Forgetting? That's just repression. You're just shoving it all down, hoping it goes away. But we all know it never does. It just festers and comes back later, usually at the worst possible time. Okay, so if forgiveness is just a choice, why does it feel so ridiculously hard sometimes? Why can it feel completely impossible to make that choice? Well, let's get into the common barriers that really stand in our way. So the therapists point to a few major roadblocks. You've got, of course, how badly you were hurt in the first place. Then there's being hurt over and over again by the same person. Ugh. And our own past plays a huge part. But that last one, this thing called emotional reasoning, that one is a major and kind of sneaky obstacle. Yeah, the therapists have a great way of putting this. They call it scar tissue. And just think about that for a second. If you have these old, unresolved wounds from your past, a new hurt doesn't just land on fresh skin. It lands right on top of that old scar tissue. And bam, the pain is just so much worse. It can make forgiveness feel almost out of reach. Okay, let's really zoom in on this emotional reasoning thing, because the therapists argue it's one of the most powerful forces that stops us from being able to let go. So at its core, emotional reasoning is a simple but really powerful trick our brains play on us. It's that little voice inside that says, I feel this way, therefore it must be true. It's when we mistake our intense emotions for objective, cold, hard facts. And this quote just nails that mindset perfectly. It's when your feeling isn't just valid anymore, it becomes the entire truth of the situation. And suddenly, the goal isn't to resolve the problem, it's to force the other person to fix how you feel. So here's how that flawed logic plays out. First, you feel something super intensely, right? Then, you just assume that feeling is a 100% accurate reflection of reality. And finally, you demand that someone else, the world, has to fix that feeling for you. It completely removes your own role in the process. And this is where it gets really practical and useful. The therapists want us to ask ourselves this question. So often, our default word for any bad feeling is hurt. But hold on, were you really hurt? Or were you maybe disappointed? Or rejected? Or just frustrated? Being more specific with our language can actually lower the emotional temperature and help break that cycle. So, knowing all the barriers, what does the actual path to healing and forgiveness look like? Well, the therapists are super clear on this. It takes work from both sides. It's a two-way street. This just can't be a solo mission. Now, sure, the final decision to let go of your own resentment, yours and yours alone. But for true reconciliation, to actually heal the relationship, both people have to step up to the plate. Each person has a very specific job to do. For the person who caused the harm, their job is simple, but it is not easy. Be consistent. Words are cheap. An apology is a start, but it's changed behavior shown over and over and over again that actually rebuilds trust. I love how they say this. Consistency is the currency of trust. And for the person who was hurt, the work here is internal. It's all about changing the story you're telling yourself. It's about moving from defining the other person by their worst action, like you are a liar, to seeing it as something they did. Separating the person from the act, that is a massive step toward letting go. Okay. Whew. We have covered a lot of ground. So let's boil it all down into what we can call the noble truths of forgiveness. Just a few key things you can take away from all this.
Here are the 3 big ones. If you're the one who caused the hurt, your only path back is through consistency. Period. If you were the one who got hurt, work on shifting your narrative. Don't let their worst action define who they are. And finally, for all of us, let's get way more accurate with our emotional language. It makes a world of difference.
Because, ultimately, the therapists remind us that forgiveness is an act of self-care. It's less about letting the other person off the hook and more about freeing yourself from the weight of all that resentment, which kind of leaves us with one final question to think about. What are you still holding on to? And is it maybe time to intentionally let it go?